Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action Battle Report. I'm here today. I'm gonna be playing a game with my good friend Cody Pruitt, who's coming over. This is his second time to play or so. But we are going to be doing a Kursk scenario. I've had this table set up forever, and I've been just really wanting to play an Eastern Front battle. And now I've finally got the German tanks to do it with, to try and kind of simulate something that might have happened at Kursk. So what we have today is we've got a important crossroads that is on the outskirts of an industrial town that has been bombed to smithereens, and we are on the Soviets' their furthest left flank, as you can see. So they're going to be kind of left all alone out here on the left flank, and the Germans are going to be sending their crack Waffen-SS troops along with their panzers to try and outroot the Soviets from their defenses. We're going to play a classic game of envelopment today. Envelopment's not my favorite scenario, but I just feel like it's appropriate today, since the Soviets are going to be in so many numbers and dug in so well. So let's take a look at what we got the Germans rolling in. We have a veteran Waffen-SS first lieutenant. He is going to be commanding one squad of infantry, of Waffen-SS fanatical infantry in a Hanomag. There's another squad here that'll be in this Hanomag, and then there are two squads in this Hanomag. These squads are all pretty general with their light machine guns. I think one squad has two light machine guns. I think that's this squad right here, possibly. Actually, yeah, they have two light machine guns. And then this 5-man squad of stormtroopers armed with submachine guns and assault rifles will also be sharing this half-track. For support, they're going to have a medium mortar towed in this Opel Blitz, and then they're also going to be supported by 2 Panzer IVs and 1 Panzer III L, I believe. Getting better at my Panzers. Let's go over here and take a look. Well, first let's look at what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to go across this pretty open field. They can use the shell holes for cover a little bit, and then over here they have a strengthened approach, and over here they've got a clear approach to get there, but they are going to be more in the open if they do it over here on this side. So let's take a look at what the Soviets are defending with. So believe it or not, the Germans actually have about a third more points sunk into their army than the Soviets do. That being said, the Soviets still have little over, I think they have 17 dice. I don't know. Let's take a look. So we have a senior lieutenant here with a commissar model as his aide. Obviously, we have the blob of inexperienced rifle squad troops. I believe we have 2 machine LMG squads armed with the record player LMGs. And then we have a couple of guard squads to follow up, and then we have 1 SMG squad. These are going to all be regular back here. We also have a medium mortar that will be laying down fire, and then we've also been given a Katyusha to support our army. Now, as far as anti-tank ordnance goes, we don't have any tanks, but we have 2 divisional guns. We've got 3 regular anti-tank rifles. And then we have 3 3-man tank hunter squads, each armed with a single Panzerfaust. So that's what the Soviets are going to be using to hopefully deal with this armor. So anyway, it's going to be fun to see what happens. So stay tuned, and I think we're going to go ahead and deploy probably, and then we will be back to let you know where we've deployed. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, we are back after deployment. The Germans are not going to come on the table with anybody, they're not going to be deployed on the table. They're going to come on as a first wave, and I'm actually playing as the Germans, so I've nominated my entire force to come on. So they will be coming on in the first turn. Cody has decided to play the Russians. As you can see here, over on his left flank, on his right flank, he set up 1 LMG squad, 1 anti-tank rifle. He's got his divisional gun covering this flank, and the mortar is positioned behind it. Meanwhile, over here in kind of the main office building ruins, he's positioned one LMG squad on the second story, and he's decided to put his divisional gun down here, covering most of the field. He has one, I believe that's a guard squad that's planning to move up to that forward position. He has another ATR rifle over here. He's positioned his Katusha behind this sandbag emplacement, covering that area. He has his officer prodding along the inexperienced boys to get them over into this into these ruins. And then over here in the woods, he has a Panzerfaust tank hunter squad and an ATR as well, covering that flank. So he's decided to leave everybody else in reserve. And so we're going to go ahead and play turn one, and we will let you know how it goes. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn one, and the Soviets have, for the most part, held their ambushes. Cody's done a really good job. He's shown excellent ability to just hold fast.
Lots of restraint.
Yeah, lots of restraint. The Germans were able to get all of their ordnance on the table without the Soviets passing or ordering an ambush. Until that perfect time at the very end of the turn when this one divisional gun positioned over here in this building opened up fire and knocked out this half-track and killed one of the stormtrooper squad inside. The other squad was down 3 men, and they positioned themselves over here behind this tank for cover. Meanwhile, these vehicles all moved up. This vehicle moved up and emptied its troops onto this flank. The inexperienced men did expose themselves and fire at the squad, but didn't manage to hit anybody, being the inexperienced people that they were. Meanwhile, the Katusha decided to go ahead and unleash its battery on the German truck and mortar team that had moved up here. Didn't manage to hit the half-track, and they were able to pop their guys out, but they did take hits on the truck, and then by way of explosion also on the mortar, because they were bunched very tightly together. And the mortar everyone was killed before they'd barely even gotten set up. Most of Cody's units were hidden, so these tanks weren't really able to fire at anybody. Just a few of them have been exposed, but he's left this LMG squad on ambush, as well as this divisional gun, as well as this LMG squad. So he still has a lot of squads on ambush, and he has several squads in reserve that are going to be able to come in this turn. So we're going to go ahead and play turn two, and we'll let you know what happens. So as always, stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn two. Main thing that happened this turn is that this Panzer III took a shot and knocked out the Zis divisional gun, killing all of the crew with the HE on its weapon. It did take fire from a ATR over there, and we thought it was knocked out, but then we remembered that it has a higher armor rating than it does, so it actually caught on fire. But the crew was able to put the fire out, but they don't have 2 pins on them. These 2 Panzer IVs moved up, took shots, didn't really do any damage at all. Didn't really manage to kill anyone. The inexperienced squad received fire from the Waffen-SS over here on the flank, and they went down, but they did get a pin, so that was good. This squad, whose half-track was blown up, has rallied, and this half-track received a pin from, I believe, the ATR over here. Meanwhile, over here, this squad is moving up on this flank. Sprung most of these ambushes. This gun tried at the end of the turn to take out the Panzer III, but was unable to. This squad and the ATR fired at the officer team, pinning it, and then this squad received fire from the LMG up in the building over here. So they're starting to put down fire on those men. Meanwhile, Cody brought on most of his reinforcements. He was unable to get on the guard squad and one of the the tank hunter squads, but he got one of the tank hunter squads on here, and he got the SMG squad to move up behind the inexperienced boys to kind of beef up that flank. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 3. The Germans are pushing up, but they don't have a whole lot of ordnance, so it's going to be interesting. Also, as always, I forgot to explain the Tiger Fear rule, so we're playing without Tiger Fear again. It's just such a bad habit with me. Every time I play the Germans, I just don't utilize the Tiger Fear rule. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and play turn 3, and we will let you know how it goes, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn 3. The Germans are got a few little breaks, and they're starting to kind of continue their advance up the way. Over here, we had a UN Snap 2 order issued by this officer. He ordered this squad to move up, and they were considering firing their Panzerfaust at this tank, but they've decided to hold fast and wait and let it get a little bit closer. So they're just kind of sitting there waiting. And then we tried to have the inexperienced squad pass an orders test, but they ended up just foobarring and ended up having to retreat. And the officer is chasing after them now, trying to get them to come back. But meanwhile, Cody did advance his submachine gun squad up into the trees. They did take some fire from the LMGs in this squad over here and took a pin, but no casualties. Meanwhile, all of these vehicles tried to fire and were pretty ineffective. They did manage to kill one of the inexperienced units, but that was it. The inexperienced units tried to pass their green test, but they are going to stay inexperienced for the remainder of this game. We had a tank hunter squad move up here and fire its Panzerfaust at this tank, but miss. But there's another one just following on its heels, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens there. ATR rifle did try to fire at the half-track, but also missed. Meanwhile, this tank tried to activate, but failed its orders test. This tank was also fired at by the divisional gun over here, which missed, but it's in position to do it again. Divisional gun took fire from the officer team over here, who also missed. And as you can see, this squad is advancing up. We did put a pin on this squad and kill a man, but they passed their orders test and opened fire on this half-track and put a pin on it as well. But Cody, as you can see, has already brought up another squad to reinforce this line. So the Germans are going to have an even harder time getting anything done. Mortar fired at the officer, or at this squad, and missed. The Katusha also tried to lay down a barrage over here, but also missed, and it is kind of running out of clusters to fire at. This squad took the most damage from this tank over here, from the pintle mount on that tank's gun. They were whittled down to a couple of men, and that also forced the squad that was up here in this front position to retreat back here to take up the position held by the divisional gun. So the Germans are continuing their advance, but they have very few resources, and the Soviets have just been reinforced, despite the usual foul-ups and rigmarole that accompany any army. They also seem to be, for the most part, holding fast. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 4, and we'll let you know what happens, so please stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn 4. And as you can see, the Germans have taken some substantial casualties as they continue their push up into the Russian deployment zone. I'm going to start on this flank. Basically, we had another Panzerfaust fired at this tank, which was completely knocked out. The squad behind it assaulted the Panzerfaust team, but was also wiped out down to 1 man. They did win the assault, but there was only 1 man left, and he was easily mopped up by this team right here. This squad is slowly pushing up. They're putting some pins on the SMG team, which has moved back out of the forest into the into this area, but they haven't dealt with this ATR, which is just sitting right here in front of this half track. We did have one very brave Panzer over here who decided to roll up and take shots at the Katyusha, catching it on fire, causing massive damage, also stunning it, but it was able to put the fire out with the help of its officer. Meanwhile, there is one squad with a Panzerfaust sitting right here, and they did take a pin and they did take shots, but they're still very much alive. This squad just has to be trembling next to this Panzer, which it can't really do anything about. Meanwhile, the inexperienced squad took a beating or a chewing out from its officers, probably a beating too. This is the Soviet Union.
They're lucky we didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And so they rallied and lost one of their pins. Meanwhile, this tank, trying to support this infantry, couldn't get it done. And then prior to the Katyusha getting hit, it launched a devastating battery on this half track, completely knocking it out and also killing everyone in the officer's squad except for him. But he did take massive pins and is now down. This squad moved up and took massive pins as well, and they were also taking fire from machine guns over here, as well as these rifles over here that have moved out. And I believe they also took pins from the now lone LMG gunner in the tower there. Meanwhile, Cody used one of his extra squads to be an aggressor unit and move up on this flank. So needless to say, it's looking really bad for the Germans on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 5, and we will let you know what happens. I would be really surprised if the game goes on another turn, but you know, never know, it might. So we're going to go ahead and play this turn, and we'll let you know what happens, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back at what we're going to go ahead and call the end of this game. As you can see, the Germans just were not able to get up into the zone. The Soviets were able to pick most of them off on the way, and we're definitely going to call this a crushing victory for the motherland, for Soviet Russia. Play of the turn. This tank was fired upon by the Panzerfaust squad, who missed. But this ATR team snuck around behind the tank and got a shot on its soft armor and completely knocked it out with the ATR. So it must have been a fuel tank explosion. Meanwhile, let's see. So this squad did manage to wither down the half track managed to wither down the submachine gun squad. Down to 3 men, but they failed their morale test, so they were about to exit the field, but then they remembered their patriotism, and they rolled again, and they passed, and then they took more fire from this squad, got down to 1 man, but again passed their morale test. This squad received some fire from various elements back here, but failed, that failed to kill it. This squad did put a pin on this half track, which also is going to flee the field after ending its turn closer to a Soviet unit than a German. That's what I was going to tell you earlier when I was like,
oh, I get to flee, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So it retreated anyway. So meanwhile, this tank didn't pass the tortoise test, stayed put. And as you can see over here, the Soviets were beginning to move up and put fire on these 2 units, the only ones remaining. They survived another Katyusha barrage that missed. But they moved up and they rallied, or they didn't move up, they just rallied and they lost their pins, but they received 2 more. And it was just decided by the high command that that was just not going to be enough to even get into the zone over here. So that's why we are going to go ahead and call it. This gun took a shot at these men but missed. Actually, I believe this gun took a shot at the tank. And this, actually, I don't even remember. No, you know what? It did fire at these men, but it needed a 5 and it missed. These squads all down here were able to get pins on this squad. Mortar tried to fire, but found that they were under its arc of fire. This squad tried to fire as well, but they actually ended up having to go down. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If it seems like the points were a little skewed, they were. The Germans actually had about a third more points than the Soviets. I really thought that was going to be enough for them to push the Soviets out with all that armor. But the Soviets made good use of their cover, and actually really good use in the first turn of just letting the Germans get into killing range and then taking the shot when they had the most damage. So anyway, still don't really like the scenario envelopment. But anyway, yeah, I think it was a really fun game. Cody, what did you think about your second game of Bolt Action?
Oh man, really dug it. I felt like I kind of got it handed to me on my first game while I was learning the rules. I really thought with a little bit more strategy on this one, so really dug it.
Very nice.
Feels good to win.
Very nice. Well, next time we will play with Tiger Fear and see if it affects the game at all.
Sounds fair.
But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope to be back soon with more videos. Be sure to like and subscribe, and just let me know what kinds of battles you want to see, and I'll try to make it happen. But as you know, I can only do what I'm able to paint and get churned out. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.